Hello and welcome back to Coding for Real with Neil. I'm your host and my name of course is Neil. This is Forms Part 2 and in this video we're going to be taking a look at form validation. This is a follow-on from the first part of the Forms mini series, and throughout this lesson what I want you to think about is anytime you've been somewhere and there's a security guard at the front door, whether it be a nightclub, whether it be a pub, whether it be your school formal and they had security on, anywhere where you've had to go where they've checked your ID to check that you were of age or to check that you were on the list. That's what I want you to think about throughout this lesson. And without further ado, let's get into the content. All right, there's a few new concepts that we're going to be learning in this lesson. So I'm just going to put some notes at the top here about what those concepts are, okay? So the first concept that we're going to be learning about is the HTML special characters function, okay? So remember that validation is all about security. You'll understand more about what this HTML special characters function is later. The second thing we're going to be learning about is HTML entities, and I'm only going to be touching on this slightly because hopefully you know HTML. If not, I do suggest you go and do a HTML course. But HTML entities is quite important when it comes to security within PHP. The third thing we're going to be learning about is a thing called XSS, which is cross-server scripting, which is a type of hacking that people can do on your website. And everything we're going to learn is going to be learning about how to prevent a cross-server scripting attack. So with those things in mind, let's get on to the lesson. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up a very simple form. So let's close the PHP and then let's put in a HTML boilerplate and let's put in here validation. So in here, we're going to create a very simple form. You should already know how to do this, so I'm going to fast forward through this bit. But if you want to copy the code, just pause the video and copy down the form that I'm going to create. All right, so here we are. I've just created a very simple form. So you should know how to do this from the last video. If not, please watch the video that's about to pop up. The link will also be in the description. But very, very simply, what I've got here is I've got a form with an action of echoing the server PHP self, which is going to echo out the current file name. The method is post, so it's going to post to the current file that it's using. Then we have a name field, which is a text with the name of name. We have an email. And then we have the radios, which is a selection box. We have female, male, and other. Very, very simple form. In the browser, this looks like. So over here in the browser, we have this. We have the name, which you can put your name. We have an email, which will accept an email. And then we have the radio, where it is one selection or the other. It is not a checkbox. So you can only have one selected. So what do we do from here? Well, on the surface, this looks really, really great, right? You've got everything you need for a form, and then this form's going to be submitted via the post, but that means the information is going to be sent to the URL. And with validation, say in HTML, you could put the required field here, right? The required field here, and that means that someone has to put a thing in here. But the problem with using HTML validation is that it doesn't provide any security. So this brings me to one topic that we are going to discuss, which I listed above, and that is a cross-server scripting attack. Let's have a look at what a cross-server scripting attack is. Here I am over on cloudflare.com, and they've just got a very simple description of what is cross-site scripting. So cross-site scripting, or XSS, is an exploit where the attacker attaches code onto a legitimate website that will execute when the victim loads the website. So it can be inserted in several ways, but the most popular is that it's added to the end of a URL or posted directly onto a page that displays user-generated content. So this is exactly what's happening when we use the post method for PHP form handling. It's going to add whatever they put on the end of a URL. So in this case, cross-site scripting, or XSS, cross-server scripting attack, what they would do, the back over here, what they would do is they would actually put JavaScript code in their name, or they'd put JavaScript code in the email, right? And so then when it gets sent, it's going to reload this page. Remember, it's going to put the question mark followed by whatever they're using to put in the post method, and it's going to add it onto the end of the URL. So they could put malicious code and attach it to the end of your URL. Luckily, PHP has a very, very simple way of fixing this. And PHP's very, very simple way of fixing this is what's known as the HTML special characters function. And what this function does is it filters out any special characters. For example, it filters out special characters such as // backslash, things like that. And it turns them into HTML entities. What is a HTML entity? Here I am on simplylearn.com, and they've got a bit of a rundown of what a HTML entity is. If you want to know more about it, I do recommend you check out their site. A HTML entity, they're the reserved characters that have special meaning when used in a HTML document. Each of these codes start with an ampersand, which is the and symbol, which is Shift and 7, and it ends with a semicolon. Let's have a look at some examples. So for example, so it's the inverted exclamation mark, is ampersand IEXCL, and then the semicolon. So what's happening in PHP when you're using the HTML special characters function is that it's converting all special characters, all the symbols that people are going to be using, and converts them into a HTML entity. And that is one very simple way of how PHP is going to protect. It's going to be the bouncer at the entry to your program or to your website that is going to stop cross-server scripting attacks. And how do we do it? How do we add it to this form? It's very, very simple. You'd need to wrap the server PHP self in HTML special characters, just like that. And then we need to remove this and add it to the end of here, just like that. And now you are protected against XSS. That very simply is what PHP form validation is all about. It's about ensuring security, and when people put data into a website, making sure that they can't put in malicious code. So there's many other ways of doing validation with PHP, but I just wanted to show you one way that is kind of like a global safety net. And there are some other ways, and I will be touching on those more in the future. So you could pass all of the name fields through a variable, and then you could pass a function that's trimming all of those variables to trim out white space and special characters. You could do all of that stuff as well, but I'll be showing you more of that in the future. For now, I just wanted to show you the basic gist of what form validation is all about in PHP. Okay, congratulations on making it to the end of this lesson. Hopefully in this lesson, you've learned a very basic understanding of what form validation is all about in PHP. So in this lesson, we had a quick look at the required keyword in HTML. And I did say that I'm going to show you a little bit more about form validation. Luckily, that's what the next lesson is for. In the next lesson, we're going to take a look at how to implement similar to the required field in PHP. And we're also going to take a look at some further form validation by validating whether a data field is empty or not. So that'll be a really exciting lesson next week, and I can't wait to share the information with you, and I'll see you then.